Sometimes you come across a story that's just so ridiculous, I have to stop everything I'm doing and turn on the camera because what do you mean there's a fake Miss Rachel who was arrested for retail theft? Okay, so I guess this fake Miss Rachel, she had a meetup and parents were really questioning what they paid for. And then the impersonator got arrested just days later. So this whole situation, I guess, just started with an event called the Ice Cream with Miss Rachel Experience. And this was at Jolly Ice Parlor in Hollywood, Florida on February 28, 2026. The promotion looked somewhat convincing, I guess, but essentially the poster showed the real Miss Rachel. And for families and toddlers, that's basically, you know, like a celebrity sighting because tickets for the event cost about $25, and the advertisement promised a meet and greet along with photos, ice cream, face painting, and activities for kids. But the flyer did technically say that the Miss Rachel was an impersonator, but the disclaimer was very small and the promotional image was the real Miss Rachel. Since then, though, the ice cream parlor has deleted the poster from its Instagram. But either way, when the parents saw it online, many assumed they were signing their kids up to meet the actual star, Miss Rachel. And people definitely showed up. A long line of families formed outside the ice cream shop with kids excited to meet the woman they recognized from YouTube and Netflix. And obviously, if you didn't know, Miss Rachel is probably the largest kids channel on YouTube. Or well, I guess that's if you exclude the animation slob channels. But regardless, she's built a huge following with educational songs and speech development videos for babies and young kids. And her channel now has millions of subscribers and billions of views. And the character has become one of the biggest preschool personalities on the internet. So for parents, the idea that she might randomly show up to a small ice cream shop in South Florida, that sounded unlikely, but I guess for some parents, it didn't seem impossible. But as the line slowly moved forward and families reached out to the front of the meet and greet, something quickly became obvious. The person greeting the kids was not Miss Rachel. The person greeting the kids for photos was a woman dressed like the character, but it didn't take long for parents to start whispering to each other and pulling out their phones. This is essentially turning into the Willy Wonka experience that happened in England like a year or two ago all over again. But obviously, videos from the event immediately started circulating online. So cute. Wow. I mean, come on, that is so obviously not Miss Rachel. I mean, even the baby is looking at her like, who is this? But people outside the ice cream shop experienced a long line, and I guess they just had no idea what was going on inside. Imagine waiting in that long line, convincing your kid to be patient because he or she is about to meet the real Miss Rachel, and then you see their Miss Rachel. Ouch. Like, imagine just trying to calm your toddler down by saying, hey, you're going to meet Miss Rachel soon. And then you meet this woman. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on that. I can't believe this. This is so crazy. Obviously, though, performers dressing up as popular characters for kids' parties, it's not uncommon. But, you know, they're using the real picture of the real Miss Rachel in the advertisement with like some small text down there going, it's an impersonator. It really goes to show you got to read the fine print, even though I feel like we all just kind of skip over the fine print. But also, to be fair, it's held at an ice cream shop and it's advertised for young children, and there's a full cocktail bar. So I don't know what's going on here.
Also, there was a full bar there for some reason with like specialty cocktails. And yes, that is a child behind that said bar. Maybe they were banking on getting the parents a little inebriated, so Miss Rachel looked a little more Miss Rachel.
But I have seen a lot of people arguing about the same question. Was this actually a scam, or did people just not read the flyer carefully enough? Like, on one side, you have parents saying the event felt misleading. And that's fair considering, you know, the promotional poster only used the real picture of Miss Rachel, and most people scrolling past it would assume that means the real person was going to be there. And then obviously you have the $25 price, so people felt like they paid for something that wasn't clearly explained to them. However, others pointed out that the flyer technically did say that Miss Rachel was an impersonator, and the disclaimer was there, even if it was small, and the event also included free ice cream, face painting, and activities for kids. So from that perspective, you still are getting a lot of value for the $25. And I mean, if the real Miss Rachel was there for $25, that would have been a steal. But I also want to mention, see, I didn't know about this until now, but I started doing some searching around online, and apparently it's pretty common to hire Miss Rachel impersonators. So if you search online, you'll find parents actively asking about booking Miss Rachel lookalikes for birthday parties and kids events. Because on forums and social media groups, people regularly ask for performers who can dress like the character, sing the songs, and entertain toddlers for the afternoon. I guess the main misleading aspect here is the picture they used is of the real Miss Rachel. So I guess the fact that a Miss Rachel impersonator shows up to a kids event, that's not like a wild concept. It's basically the same thing as hiring someone to dress as Spider-Man or Elsa or a Disney princess for a birthday party. I guess the real controversy here is it wasn't super clear that this was going to be an impersonator. So it was how the event was advertised, and then I guess what happened after the event ended. Because as the internet was arguing about whether this was misleading marketing or a misunderstanding or a scam, the story suddenly took a turn because just 2 days after the ice cream event, the woman behind the Miss Rachel impersonation suddenly made headlines again. But this time, it had nothing to do with a meet and greet, because on March 2nd in Broward County, authorities arrested the impersonator, whose real name is Meredith Williams Landers, on retail theft charge. And she was booked into jail and held on a $2,500 bond. And according to police, the arrest had nothing to do with the Miss Rachel event itself, but the timing was kind of funny. Like, imagine you were one of the parents who were fooled by the marketing of this, and then you find out the impersonator your kids just saw was just arrested for retail theft. Like, come on. I mean, the pure irony here of being arrested just 2 days later after doing something what a lot of people kind of consider to be a scam. And another person wrote, y'all actually lined up for a fake Miss Rachel and now she's Miss Criminal. Florida really is out here writing plots for TikTok. I mean, Florida is a meme. You kind of have to love Florida. But I guess this ice cream place doesn't really do too many background checks, because when I started looking into who this impersonator was, it only got more wild, because as it turns out, the retail theft, that wasn't the only time she's been in trouble with the law. Not even close, because in the summer of 2023, she was arrested for fraud and grand theft. Then another charge appears in the summer of 2024 for petite theft. And then records also list another petite theft arrest on August 6, 2025, followed by a grand theft arrest on February 2nd, 2026. So just weeks before she did the Miss Rachel impersonation, she was arrested for stealing a car. Like, why? That's who the ice cream parlor hires to be around kids. That's not what Miss Rachel stands for. Like, this is crazy. I guess she really is Miss Criminal. And I feel like the reason people were reacting so strongly to this event is just because of how bizarre this headline is. A children's entertainer impersonator goes viral after confusing a meet and greet and then gets arrested days later. And then we find out that the arrest isn't even the first one. At this point, I mean, the story is fully crossed from being a weird local event into a full spectacle. But honestly, that's just your average Florida situation. But to be honest, I still can't really decide if this was a full-on scam or just a misunderstanding. Who knows? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.